You don't need to fix yourself. Nothing is wrong with you. Life is shaping you, not breaking you. You have been told again and again that something is wrong with you. From childhood, subtle messages entered your mind that you are not enough, that you should be different, that you should improve, control, correct, discipline, fix yourself. Slowly, very slowly, this idea became part of your identity. You stopped looking at life as a journey and started looking at yourself as a problem. This is where suffering began. The moment you believe you are broken, you start living in tension. You watch yourself constantly. You judge your thoughts. You condemn your emotions. You measure your progress. You compare your life with others. You begin to carry an invisible burden, the burden of becoming acceptable. But existence has never asked you to be acceptable. Existence has only asked you to be alive. You are not broken. You are unfinished. And unfinished is not a defect, it is the nature of life. Everything alive is in process. A seed is not broken because it is not yet a tree. A bud is not broken because it is not yet a flower. Growth does not mean repair. Growth means unfolding. You were never meant to be complete in one moment. But the mind wants completion because the mind is afraid of uncertainty. The mind wants a final state where it can relax and say, now I am okay. Life never offers such a state. Life is movement. Life is becoming. And the moment you accept becoming, relaxation begins. Pain is not proof that you are broken. Pain is proof that something is alive inside you. Only dead things feel nothing. Growth hurts because growth stretches you beyond what you already know. Transformation feels uncomfortable because it dissolves old identities. When you feel confused, it does not mean you are lost. It means the old map is no longer working. When you feel emotional, it does not mean you are weak. It means something deep is trying to be felt. When you feel restless, it does not mean you are failing. It means life is pushing you forward. But instead of listening, you start fighting yourself. You label your pain as a mistake. You call your sensitivity a problem. You call your doubts weakness. You call your slowness failure. And this inner violence creates wounds far deeper than any external event. Most of your suffering is not because of what happened to you. It is because of how you judged yourself while it was happening. You believed you should be stronger. You believed you should have known better. You believed you should already be healed. This should is poison. Healing does not happen through force. Healing happens through understanding. And understanding begins when you stop attacking yourself. The moment you stop saying, something is wrong with me, and start saying, something is happening in me, the whole quality changes. You move from judgment to curiosity, from punishment to compassion, from resistance to awareness. Awareness is the greatest healer because awareness does not interfere. It allows, it listens, it gives space, and space is what pain needs to transform. Look closely at your life. The moments that shaped you the most were not the comfortable ones. They were the confusing ones, the painful ones, the uncertain ones. Those moments did not break you. They carved depth into you. Depth is often mistaken for damage. You are carrying experiences that the mind cannot easily categorize. Loss, rejection, failure, loneliness. Each of these experiences stripped something false from you. They did not destroy your core. They exposed it. The core is untouched. But because society glorifies happiness, success, confidence, and certainty, you learn to hide your inner storms. You learn to smile while hurting. You learn to pretend you are fine. You learn to suppress your questions. And what is suppressed does not disappear. It waits. It waits to be seen. Your anxiety is not your enemy. Your sadness is not your enemy. Your confusion is not your enemy. They are signals, messengers. They are saying something inside you needs attention, not correction. When you try to fix yourself, you divide yourself. One part becomes the judge, another part becomes the accused. This inner split creates constant tension. You are never at ease because you are always watching yourself with suspicion. But when you understand that you are becoming, not broken, the split dissolves. You allow yourself to be where you are. And this allowance creates alignment. Alignment is healing. Healing is not about becoming someone else. Healing is about becoming more yourself. Your emotions are not obstacles on the spiritual path. They are the path. Every emotion, when felt consciously, refines you. Every experience, when lived fully, matures you. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where your life has brought you. Comparison creates the illusion of brokenness. You look at others and imagine they are complete, peaceful, settled. You only see their surface. You do not see their struggles, their doubts, their nights of silence. Everyone is becoming, only the masks are different. The moment you stop measuring yourself against imaginary standards, something relaxes inside you. You breathe more freely. You stop rushing your healing. You stop demanding instant clarity. You allow life to take its time. Life never rushes. Only the mind does. And here is a deep truth. Whatever you resist in yourself persists. Whatever you accept transforms. Acceptance is not surrender to weakness. Acceptance is recognition of reality. Reality is the starting point of all growth. You do not heal by hating your wounds. You heal by understanding them. You do not grow by forcing change. You grow by allowing insight. Be gentle with yourself. Gentleness is not laziness. Gentleness is intelligence that knows violence will only delay healing. The tree does not pull its leaves open. It allows the sun and rain to do their work. You are a living process. Trust the process. You are not broken. You are becoming. You begin to understand something very subtle as this insight settles deeper within you, that the idea of being broken was never born inside you. It was given to you. It came from expectations, comparisons, standards that were never meant to fit a living, breathing human being. You absorbed these ideas slowly, innocently, without questioning. And once absorbed, they started shaping the way you looked at yourself. The mind learned to see life as a checklist. Achieve this by this age. Feel this way by that time. Be confident. Be successful. Be healed. Be clear. And when life did not follow this artificial schedule, the mind concluded, something is wrong with me. But life does not work on schedules. Life works on seasons. There are seasons of growth and seasons of rest, seasons of clarity and seasons of confusion, seasons of joy and seasons of pain. You cannot force spring to arrive in winter. And you cannot shame a tree for being leafless in the cold. Yet you have been shaming yourself for being in a winter phase. You see now that many of your so-called flaws were actually signs of depth. Your sensitivity was not weakness, it was perception. Your slowness was not laziness, it was integration. Your hesitation was not fear, it was awareness trying to protect you from unconscious movement. But the world praises speed, noise, confidence, certainty. So you learn to distrust your own rhythm. You try to become louder, faster, harder. And in doing so, you moved away from yourself. Moving away from yourself is what creates pain. Pain is not punishment. Pain is distance from your own truth. And the moment you begin to return, pain changes its quality. It stops screaming and starts guiding. You begin to listen differently now. When sadness comes, you do not rush to escape it. You sit with it. You feel it in the body. You notice where it lives, how it moves, what it is asking. And you realize sadness is not trying to destroy you. It is trying to soften you. When fear comes, you do not label yourself as weak. You look at fear with curiosity. You see that fear often appears when you are standing at the edge of growth. Fear is the guardian of the unknown. It does not mean stop. It means slow down and stay aware. When confusion comes, you do not panic. You understand that confusion appears when old answers no longer work. Confusion is the space where new understanding is forming. It is uncomfortable because the mind wants closure, but life is opening, not closing. Confusion is fertile ground. The more you stop fighting these states, the more you see their intelligence. You realize that life has been guiding you through experiences, not against you. Even the moments you called mistakes were lessons that could not have been learned any other way. You were not broken by those experiences. You were shaped by them. And shaping is rarely gentle. A diamond is not formed by comfort. A river is not shaped by stillness. Depth comes through movement, pressure, friction. You begin to forgive yourself for not being who you thought you should be. This forgiveness is not emotional drama. It is a quiet dropping of unrealistic demands. You stop holding yourself hostage to an imagined version of perfection. You say inwardly, "This is where I am." And this simple honesty brings relief. Honesty heals faster than effort. You also see how the idea of fixing yourself created endless dissatisfaction. Every time you fixed one thing, another appeared. The mind kept moving the goalpost because the mind survives on dissatisfaction. If you were truly at peace with yourself, the mind would lose its authority. So the mind keeps whispering, "Almost there. Just one more improvement, one more change, one more achievement." You step out of this trap now. You see that wholeness is not something you reach at the end of improvement. Wholeness is the ground from which improvement happens naturally. When you accept yourself, growth becomes joyful instead of violent. You grow because you are alive, not because you are lacking. This understanding brings a deep compassion for your past. You see how hard you were trying, how much you carried, how often you blamed yourself for things beyond your control, and instead of shame, tenderness, arises. Tenderness is a sign of healing. You become kinder to yourself in small moments. You rest when you are tired instead of pushing. You say no when something feels wrong. You stop explaining yourself unnecessarily. You allow yourself to feel without justification. These small shifts are not small at all. They are revolutionary. They mark the end of inner war. You are no longer at war with your emotions. You are no longer at war with your past. You are no longer at war with your pace. Peace does not come from winning this war. Peace comes from ending it. And as the war ends, you notice something unexpected energy returns. Not the frantic energy of ambition, but the steady energy of presence. You feel more alive, more grounded, more real. You begin to trust that whatever is happening inside you has a place in your journey. You stop trying to skip steps. You stop rushing outcomes. You allow yourself to be a student of life again. Life is the teacher. You are the learning. Learning never means something is wrong. Learning means something is alive. You are alive. And because you are alive, you are becoming. As this understanding deepens, you start noticing how much energy was wasted in self-judgment. Every time you told yourself you were not enough, not ready, not healed, not successful, a part of your life force collapsed inward. Self-judgment is not harmless thinking. It is slow violence against your own being. And because it happens quietly, you never noticed how deeply it affected you. Now you are beginning to see it clearly. You see that whenever something painful happened, the pain itself was manageable. What made it unbearable was the story you added on top of it. I shouldn't feel this way. Others are doing better than me. I am failing. Something is wrong with me. These thoughts did not heal you. They isolated you from yourself. Isolation is the real wound. The moment you stop isolating parts of yourself, healing begins naturally. You stop saying, this part of me is acceptable, that part is not. You stop dividing your inner world into good and bad. You begin to include everything in awareness, joy and sadness, strength and weakness, clarity and confusion. Inclusion is love. Love is not a feeling you create. Love is what happens when resistance ends. You begin to realize that most people are not suffering because of their pain. They are suffering because they are ashamed of their pain. Shame makes pain poisonous. Awareness removes shame. And when shame is gone, pain becomes workable. You no longer ask, why am I like this? You ask, what is this teaching me? This question does not come from self-improvement. It comes from self-respect. Self-respect is very different from ego. Ego demands admiration. Self-respect allows honesty. You are honest with yourself now. You no longer pretend to be okay when you are not. You no longer dramatize your struggles either. You simply acknowledge what is. Acknowledgement is powerful. The moment something is acknowledged, it stops controlling you. Unacknowledged pain controls behavior. Acknowledged pain transforms into understanding. You begin to see patterns in your life, not with judgment, but with curiosity. You notice how certain situations repeat, how certain emotions return, how certain fears arise again and again. Earlier you felt frustrated by this repetition. Now you see repetition as life knocking on the same door until you listen. Life is patient. It will repeat lessons until they are learned, not as punishment, but as care. You stop calling these patterns failures. You call them invitations. invitations to slow down, to pay attention, to grow deeper. Growth is not always upward, sometimes growth is inward. Inward growth does not show on the surface, but it changes the foundation. You also begin to understand why comparison was so destructive. Comparison made you measure your inner process against someone else's outer expression. You compared your unfinished chapter with someone else's highlight, and then you concluded that you were broken. This conclusion was never fair. No one sees your inner work. No one sees your silent courage. No one sees the nights you survived. And yet, you judged yourself harshly based on appearances. Now you stop doing that. You give yourself the dignity of your own journey. This dignity is quiet, but it changes how you walk, how you speak, how you choose. You no longer beg life to prove your worth. You no longer wait for permission to exist as you are. You exist, and that is enough. As this settles, you start noticing something else. Your relationship with time changes. You stop rushing your healing. You stop saying, "By now I should be better." You understand that healing does not follow deadlines. It follows honesty. Some wounds heal quickly. Some need patience. Some need silence. Rushing them only deepens them. You begin to trust your pace. Trusting your pace does not mean stagnation. It means you are no longer violent with yourself. Growth that happens without violence lasts. Growth that happens through pressure creates cracks. You choose durability over speed now. You also notice that your inner dialogue becomes softer. The harsh voice that used to criticize begins to lose authority. Not because you fight it, but because you stop believing it. You see that voice for what it is: conditioning, not truth. Truth does not shout. Truth does not insult. Truth does not threaten. Truth feels calm, and calm is returning to you. You start feeling more grounded in your body. Earlier, you lived mostly in your head, thinking, analyzing, worrying. Now you feel your feet on the ground, your breath in your chest, your presence in the moment. This embodiment brings stability. Stability allows healing to deepen. You no longer search for dramatic breakthroughs. You appreciate small shifts, a moment of peace, a clearer boundary, a kinder response to yourself. These small shifts are signs that becoming is happening. Becoming is subtle. It does not announce itself. As this realization settles even deeper, you begin to notice a quiet shift in the way you carry yourself through life. Earlier, there was always an invisible tension, as if you were being examined by someone even when no one was there. You were constantly proving, defending, justifying your existence. Now that pressure starts dissolving. You no longer feel watched by an inner judge. You begin to feel permission to exist without explanation. This permission is not given by society, by family, by success, or by achievement. It arises from within. The moment you stop seeing yourself as a mistake, when you stop demanding justification for your feelings, your pace, your nature, something soft opens inside you. Softness is not weakness. Softness is trust in your own ground. You start seeing that many of your struggles came from trying to be someone you were not yet ready to be. You forced maturity before understanding. You forced strength before healing. You forced clarity before confusion had finished its work. Confusion is not a detour. Confusion is part of the path. When confusion is allowed, it slowly rearranges itself into understanding. When confusion is rejected, it turns into anxiety. Anxiety is simply confusion that has been denied space. Now you give space, and space changes everything. You notice that when you stop pushing yourself to move on, emotions complete their cycle naturally. Sadness comes, stays, and leaves. Anger arises, teaches, and dissolves. Fear appears, warns, fades. Nothing needs to be trapped. Nothing needs to be held. Nothing needs to be rushed. This natural movement is healing. Earlier, you were afraid that if you allowed emotions, they would overwhelm you. But the opposite happens. What overwhelms you is resistance. What is allowed becomes manageable. You begin to trust your emotional intelligence. This trust is important because it reconnects you with your intuition. Intuition does not shout. It whispers through feelings, sensations, subtle pulls. When you were busy fixing yourself, you ignored these signals. Now you listen. Listening brings alignment. Alignment does not mean life becomes smooth. It means even when life is rough, you feel oriented. You know where you stand even if you don't know where you are going. And that is enough. You no longer demand a clear future. You only need a clear present. Clarity in the present is far more powerful than certainty about tomorrow. As this trust grows, you notice that your need for external validation reduces. Compliments no longer define you. Criticism no longer destroys you. You appreciate appreciation, but you don't depend on it. You listen to feedback, but you don't collapse under it. This emotional independence is not isolation. It is rootedness. You are rooted in your own experience. This rootedness allows you to be authentic. You stop performing emotions. You stop pretending to be healed when you are still learning. You stop acting confident when you are unsure. And strangely, this honesty makes you stronger. Strength that comes from pretending is fragile. Strength that comes from honesty is stable. You begin to feel safe being real. Being real attracts the right connections. People who resonate with your truth come closer. People who depended on your mask slowly move away. This is not loss. This is alignment. You are no longer trying to fit everywhere. You are allowing resonance to happen. This reduces exhaustion. You also notice that the idea of arrival slowly dissolves. Earlier, you imagined a future version of yourself who would finally be at peace. Now you see that peace is not waiting at the end of becoming. Peace appears when you stop fighting the current stage of becoming. Peace is not postponed. Peace is allowed. You start finding moments of ease even in unfinished states, even while learning, even while healing, even while uncertain. This changes the whole tone of your journey. The journey is no longer endured. The journey is lived. You realize that becoming is not a problem to solve. Becoming is life expressing itself through you. Every phase has dignity. Every stage has its own wisdom. The caterpillar is not ashamed of not being a butterfly. It trusts the process. You are learning to trust your process too. Trust does not mean blind optimism. It means deep listening. Listening to your body when it is tired. Listening to your heart when it is hurt. listening to your intuition when something feels off. This listening creates self-respect. Self-respect is the foundation of all healing. When you respect yourself, you stop abandoning yourself to please others. You stop crossing your own boundaries. You stop tolerating what slowly erodes you. You choose yourself not out of ego, but out of care. Care is maturity. As maturity grows, you notice a quiet gratitude emerging. Not gratitude for everything being perfect, but gratitude for being able to feel, to learn, to change. Gratitude for still being open. Openness is courage. To remain open after pain is the bravest thing a human can do. You see now that nothing essential in you was ever damaged. Experiences may have shaken you, but they did not define you. You are deeper than any single chapter of your life. And because you are deeper, you can allow chapters to close without losing yourself. This brings a calm acceptance of endings. Relationships end, phases end, identities end, and you do not collapse because you are not any single form. You are the movement behind all forms. This understanding is freedom. Freedom not from pain, but from fear of pain. Freedom not from change, but from fear of change. You are no longer asking life to pause so you can feel safe. You are learning to feel safe while life moves. This is real healing. You are not broken. You are becoming patiently, honestly, deeply. And this becoming does not need your judgment. It only needs your presence. You begin to feel, almost without realizing when it happened, that you are no longer in a hurry to reach some imaginary finish line. Earlier, there was always a sense that life was somewhere else ahead of you, beyond you, waiting for you to become better, stronger, healed, complete. Now that urgency softens. Life is no longer postponed. It is happening where you are. This changes the texture of your days. You wake up and you are not immediately measuring yourself. You are not scanning for what is missing. You are simply here, breathing, feeling, aware. And in this simplicity, something deep relaxes. The nervous system, which was always bracing for judgment, finally rests. Rest is not laziness. Rest is safety. You begin to understand that most people never heal because they never feel safe enough to heal. They are always under pressure to perform, to improve, to prove. Healing needs safety. And safety comes when you stop threatening yourself with expectations. You stop saying, I should be over this by now. You stop saying, others are doing better than me. You stop saying, I am behind. Behind what? Whose race? You see clearly now that life is not a competition. Growth is not a comparison. There is no universal timeline. There is only your timeline. And your timeline has intelligence. Every delay had a reason. Every pause had a purpose. Every detour carried a lesson. You were not wasting time. You were gathering depth. Depth cannot be rushed. You also begin to see how your past pain shaped your capacity to understand others. Without those experiences, you might have remained shallow, quick to judge, slow to listen. Pain softened you. It cracked open rigid certainties. It made you human. Humanity is not weakness. Humanity is wisdom lived in the body. You notice now that when someone struggles, you do not immediately try to fix them. You sit with them, you listen, you allow their process. Because you have learned through your own becoming that being seen is often more healing than being advised. This is a sign of integration. Integration means you are no longer divided inside. You are not pretending to be healed while hiding wounds. You are not ashamed of being in process. You stand honestly in your becoming. Honesty is grounding. Grounded people do not need to impress. They do not need to exaggerate their strength or hide their vulnerability. They move naturally, speak simply, listen deeply. Their presence itself is calming. You may notice that people feel more comfortable around you now. Not because you have answers, but because you are not pretending. Authenticity invites authenticity, and authenticity dissolves loneliness. Loneliness was never about being alone. Loneliness was about being unseen even by yourself. Now you see yourself. Seeing yourself does not mean analyzing endlessly. It means acknowledging what is real. If you are tired, you rest. If you are confused, you slow down. If you are inspired, you move. You trust these signals instead of overriding them. Trusting yourself is a form of surrender. You surrender the need to constantly override your own truth. You stop forcing positivity when you feel low. You stop dramatizing pain when you need silence. You let your inner world guide your outer choices. This alignment brings relief. You also begin to understand that healing does not erase scars. Healing changes your relationship with scars. Scars stop being evidence of damage. They become evidence of survival. They tell the story of where you have been, not what is wrong with you. You stop hiding them. You stop apologizing for being shaped by life. You are shaped, not ruined. As this settles, you notice that your attention turns outward again, but differently. Earlier, you looked outward for validation. Now you look outward with curiosity. You engage with life not to fill a lack, but to express fullness. Expression replaces compensation. You create, work, love, and participate, not to prove your worth, but because something in you wants to move, share, connect. This makes your actions lighter, more playful, more sincere. You are no longer trying to arrive. You are participating. Participation is alive. You also become more patient with others' journeys. You stop expecting people to understand you immediately. You stop demanding depth from those who are not ready. You stop taking misunderstandings personally. You realize everyone is at a different point in their becoming. This understanding reduces conflict. Not every difference is a threat. Not every distance is rejection. Sometimes it is just timing. You begin to honor timing, yours and others. You no longer force connections. You allow them to form naturally or fade gently. Attachment loosens, not because you care less, but because you trust more. Trust creates freedom, and in this freedom, you feel a quiet confidence growing. Not the loud confidence of ego, but the calm confidence of someone who knows they can face whatever comes. You may not know how, but you know you will learn. Learning is your strength. You stop fearing mistakes. Mistakes are no longer proof of failure. They are feedback. They are movement. They are part of becoming. Fear of mistakes kept you stuck. Acceptance of mistakes keeps you flowing. Flow feels right. In flow, life stops feeling like a test you might fail. It starts feeling like a conversation you are part of. Sometimes you speak, sometimes you listen, sometimes you pause. All of it belongs. Nothing is wasted. This realization brings a deep peace, not the peace of everything being resolved, but the peace of being okay with unresolvedness. You can carry questions without panic. You can walk without certainty. You can live without final answers. This is maturity. Maturity does not mean knowing everything. Maturity means being able to live without knowing. You see now that becoming is not a phase that will end. It is the nature of life. Even when you feel settled, you will still be becoming. Even when you feel clear, you will still be unfolding. And this is not exhausting anymore. It is beautiful. You are not broken. You never were. You are becoming, and becoming is life expressing itself through you, moment by moment, honestly, imperfectly, completely. And that is enough. And now, something very quiet settles inside you. Not excitement, not relief, not even happiness, just a deep sense of okayness. You are no longer negotiating with life. You are no longer arguing with yourself. You are no longer waiting to become someone else before you allow yourself peace. Peace has stopped being conditional. Earlier, peace was something you promised yourself for the future. When this heals, when I understand, when I become better. Now peace is no longer postponed. It is not a reward. It is the ground you stand on. You realize something simple and profound. Life was never asking you to be fixed. Life was asking you to be honest. Honest about your fear. Honest about your tiredness. Honest about your longing. Honest about your confusion. Honesty relaxes the inner system. Pretending kept you tense. Honesty allows you to breathe. You also begin to notice that you no longer feel the urge to explain yourself so much. Earlier, you explained your choices, your emotions, your boundaries, because somewhere you felt guilty for having them. Now that guilt dissolves. You don't owe explanations for being human. You owe yourself presence. Presence becomes your anchor. When emotions arise, you stay. When thoughts appear, you watch. When uncertainty comes, you do not run, you remain available. And because you remain available, things move through you instead of getting stuck. Nothing stagnates anymore. Earlier, pain stayed because you were resisting it. Now pain moves because you allow it. Movement is healing. Stagnation was the problem. You also notice a change in how you remember the past. The past no longer attacks you. Memories come, but they do not define you. You see them as experiences that passed through you, not as labels attached to you. You stop saying, "This happened to me, therefore I am this." You start seeing, "This happened to me and I learned this." Learning liberates memory. The future also loses its grip. You no longer imagine yourself constantly falling behind. You no longer imagine disasters as if they are waiting for you. The future becomes open instead of threatening. Openness feels spacious. In this spaciousness, creativity returns. Not the pressured creativity of trying to prove something, but the natural creativity of expression. You may find yourself wanting to write, speak, create, move, or simply be more present in simple acts. This creativity is not ambition. It is life flowing again. Life flows when resistance ends. You also realize that becoming is not linear. Some days you feel settled, some days old fears return, and now this does not discourage you. You understand cycles, you understand spirals, you understand that growth revisits the same themes at deeper levels. Revisiting is not failure. Revisiting is integration. You are integrating now. Integration means you are no longer fragmented. You do not have to be one person when you are strong and another when you are weak. You do not have to hide parts of yourself to belong. You belong to yourself. Belonging to yourself is the deepest security. And from this security, you relate to others more cleanly. You do not cling, you do not withdraw, you meet, you connect, you allow closeness and distance without panic. Relationships stop being rescue missions. They become shared journeys. You also stop spiritualizing your pain and stop dramatizing your healing. You simply live. You let things be ordinary. You understand now that enlightenment is not escape from life. It is intimacy with life, intimacy with your breath, intimacy with your steps, intimacy with your emotions, intimacy with your silence. Nothing needs to be extraordinary. Ordinary lived with awareness is sacred. As this settles, a deep compassion arises not only for yourself but for everyone. You see how much everyone is carrying, how many people are quietly becoming while pretending to be fine. You do not feel superior. You feel connected. Connection replaces judgment. You stop asking life to make sense before you trust it. You trust and sense slowly emerges, not as answers, but as orientation. You know where you stand, even if you don't know where you are going. Standing is enough.